GhostWire Tokyo hands.
Wah, wah, yapata, wah, apata, wah, wah,
Welcome to It's the
ah,
Lag.
ah, ah,
Today,
ah.
we have a bunch of interesting stories, a bunch of news stories, and fun gaming industry updates we're going to blast through. My name is Luke Stevens. We're on the YouTube channel of the same name, and I'm on here with, I'll let you guys introduce yourself. Why not? Jacob, who are you?
It's me, Jacob. I'm Mr. Cow on YouTube. I talk about cartoons and sing about boners.
He does. He has an album out on Spotify and Tidal right now.
Yeah.
Not even a joke. Check it out, Boner Symphony. Cammy, what's up?
It's me. I'm the British one. Hi.
She makes us sound smarter than we are.
Yeah.
Because as we know from every Hollywood movie ever, if you have a villain and they're American, you're like, wow, they're dumb. But if they have a British accent, they're sophisticated. Yeah.
That's right.
They're a threat. And we also have Mini Luke Lachlan. He's back there playing in his bouncer. He also has a cold, so he might be coughing periodically throughout the show. If that's the case, I will just go on mute and let the other two handle it while I check on him. He's been doing better the last 10 minutes, but be warned, I might bow out occasionally for that. So lots of stuff happened this week. Not ground shaking, earth shattering stuff, but a good amount of stuff happened. Why don't we start by going through some just casual news first, and then we'll get into the big ticket items a little bit later. Cammy, why don't you start us off with Gran Turismo 7?
Yeah, I mean, there was a 30-minute state of play, and that's all they did. All they talked about was Gran Turismo 7. It comes out on March 4th, we already knew that, but it was basically just showing off a lot of gameplay, a lot of, what they've added to this new version. The rundown, very briefly: 400 cars that can all be tuned, modified, and decorated. 34 locations with 97 layouts, both real world and fantasy tracks. They're going to add more after the game comes out, just in patches down the line. There's a cafe, in the middle of the resort, where you can learn about the history of the cars. So if you're a big car buff, I guess that's a plus. I guess that's pretty interesting to some people. If you're not, I'm sure you can just ignore it. Showrooms to buy cars and any legendary cars, so they showed off it was either the DB5 or the DB9, I don't remember, but iconic cars like that you can see in the legendary car dealership. There's a museum for the history of brands, so if you want to know more about, I don't know, Volkswagen, Chevrolet, anything like that, that'll be where you go. Used car lineup, similar to real life. So you can get some cars for cheaper if they're used. Some cars are more expensive if they're, vintage, or they use the example of Subarus, because they're coming back into fashion. 90s, Japanese cars becoming more popular, so they're more expensive now used. So they're more expensive in the game. Different type of mission races, showed off drag races, drifting, co-op, couch co-op, which I'm very happy about.
Hey.
Not enough games have couch co-op nowadays. Online lobbies, and then a sport mode for if you're really into the serious racing aspect of the game. It looks good. Ray tracing if you're on PS5, weather, atmosphere effects, that are affected by the region, location, time of day. So they use the example of if you're on a certain track and it's well known that this track has certain dips in it, puddles will form there, whereas they won't in other areas of the track. If the track is famously next to the sea, it's going to be affected by the weather by the coast. Stuff like that. They talked about how the cars are kept pretty accurate to reality, with things like how streamlined the car is affecting how it drives, all that snazzy stuff. And again, if you're on PS5, because this was a like PlayStation showcase, a state of play, they talked about that a lot. If you are on PS5, there's going to be adaptive triggers and haptic feedback involved, mainly used for the tires. So if one tire lifts off the ground, you should be able to feel that. If one tire enters a locked state, you're going to feel it in your triggers, all that sort of thing. That is a very brief rundown. It was 30 minutes. It looks really pretty if you're into that sort of thing. I mean, I'm not super into it. I know people that are, and I would have thought they're going to be happy with this. It looks nice to me, anyway.
Yeah, it was a pretty little showcase.
Yeah.
Not quite our thing, I think,
Yeah.
as a group here, but it's somebody's thing, and it's a competitor for Forza,
Yeah. Forza.
Frieza,
So
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Friza.
Frieza.
Yeah.
Didn't they make all
Yeah.
those shots for everybody? Frizer. Yeah. No, it looks good. I mean, these games they've got niche appeal. That niche being very big. I mean, the racing community is huge, and they take this stuff very seriously. So, as far as I can tell, all of this stuff looks great for that community, and it's good. Lachlan's not sold on it though. He's a little sus. Little sus.
Poor Locke.
He's eating a piece of crunchy paper. Okay, Jacob, what's next?
Well, we've got GhostWire Tokyo, and as Luke would say, wow, this is one sus game. Just sussing up a storm. Ah, it's sus. Anyways, I like how this game looks a lot. I also like the Doctor. I hit my microphone, but Doctor Strange hands, Bioshock Infinite hands, all that fun stuff. I'm gonna be honest. I don't have any idea what the hell is going on in this game, or like what the cap is on any of this stuff. I watched most of the thing, most of the little showcase, and it kind of seemed just like aesthetics over all else. But it's one of those games you don't really know, I think, until you play it. If like you don't know till you kind of like feel that gameplay and those controls, if that makes sense. Because we were talking about it beforehand, how it looks easier than maybe it should be. It looks like it's a little bit effortless, but that might be because of they wanted to showcase everything. All in
And the
all,
aesthetic character.
yeah, I think it looks cool. I think there's a lot of fun aesthetic stuff. It's done by the guys that did The Evil Within. I liked those games. I don't think I've ever beaten either of those games, but when I did play, I enjoyed. So I'm excited. It was nice to see new stuff. Does anyone have any deep thoughts about it? Because I'm just overall, I'm just like, this is pretty cool.
mean, I'm concerned. Like, I think it looks great, like you were saying, but all the there was basically the combat was like split into two, and they showed off some stealth, which looked fine. It looked nice. Um, and then they showed off a lot with magic, or I don't. They call it elemental powers, ethereal weaving. They call it. Basically, the main character is possessed by a spirit called KK, which I'm always just going to picture KK Slider in his head. I don't know why they named him KK. It feels pretty stupid. But when this spirit is in your character's head, it gives you the ability to use this ethereal weaving, which is basically like elemental magic. My main issue is all the magic that's shown is like from a distance. It seems like you could just stand a decent way away from any enemies, do a few snazzy hand movements, and they're gonna die. So it's like, where's the challenge? Because it kind of looks like you can just stand back and like that's it. You stand a certain way, you do a bit of like that, and then everyone over there dies.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I say. I think You won't know till you play it, and of course, they want to show off the coolest aspects of the game. And when you have a game with gameplay that looks like this, with combat that looks this flashy and colorful, you're gonna want to show it all chained together and all this crazy stuff going along with it. So I really think that first impressions are going to be key once we see people actually playing it, because ideally you don't want you don't want it just to be this. You don't want it to just be button mashing with all these different moves. You want it to be like planned out. I've like what I want from this game, or at least what I'm hoping it'll be, is like a Dishonored BioShock hybrid sort of thing, where it's really the movement's all really nice. There's great level exploration and whatnot, but picking your path and like how you use your attacks, there's like some trial and error in it. So you have to go in with a plan, kind of get it all sorted out, and like, oh, I got to strike these guys with this. I got to do that. Maybe it makes you like budget the moves that you have, but that might go away when you get to a higher level. We're just not 100% sure what it has to offer. But I think, you know what, it shows promise.
One thing we do know that it has to offer, okay, so like the one thing we do know is that it has magical cats.
It does.
It does.
It
have
has magical cats. And further on in the showcase, I don't know if Luke will be able to find it while I'm talking and rambling. It shows him petting a dog.
I thought it was him petting a cat.
No, it looked like a Shiba Inu. Is that what the Japanese dogs are called? I'll ramble while Luke desperately tries to find.
I'm looking.
He's looking. He's going. I feel like it was a little past the halfway point. I love dogs. I love petting dogs. So if you can pet a dog in a game, there we go.
There we go.
Like, I'm a professional, so
I'm pretty sure there's a clip of him petting a cat also.
There
Like towards
might
like the
be.
5-minute mark. A lot of petting animals.
I love petting animals.
hold on.
Go on, Luke. Do the thing.
Luke's gotta find that one. I think it's at the 5-minute mark.
My only concern is that it's more like style over substance, but that could just be what they've shown us, and maybe when you play it it's much more complicated than that. But also, if the game centers mostly around petting animals, like easily a 10 out of 10 for me. Like, I won't even care.
That was my big problem with Animal Crossing, is that they didn't let you pet the
There's
villagers.
not enough animal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
there's
that would
not
be
enough.
sexual assault, Luke. because
Tom Nook.
they're,
Oh, have you ever thought about this? Is like a tangent. Have you ever thought about the fact that you can have hamster villagers, but you can also have a pet hamster? Like, you
Yeah.
can buy a pet hamster. So how do the
Slavery
hamster
is
villagers
legal
feel about that?
in Animal
Yeah.
Crossing.
It's BoJack Horseman rules. There's just both.
It's
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 fine.
whatever. Don't think about it. Yeah. That's kind of how it has to be. Otherwise, it gets really
Well, they could
unsettling.
just not have had you buy hamsters, or have
But then you
no
wouldn't get to
hamster-
have a hamster.
Or have no hamster villagers then, because the hamster villagers are creepy anyway.
That's true.
Have
That's
you
true.
seen Apple? Have you searched Apple, the hamster villager? Apple looks high. They're both searching now.
Apple looks good. What are you talking about? Looks like an
Apple
apple.
looks high.
Looks like an apple. It doesn't look high. Apple does not look high. Put up a picture of Apple, Luke. Apple does not look high.
He looks high. He looks crazy.
He looks happy.
No.
You know who
He looks like
high?
he'd eat your
KK
family.
Slider.
Huh.
KK Slider looks like he's had a few too many and he's seen too much stuff.
Probably has.
Spider has seen too much stuff. You know how
Been
long he's
around
been
since
around?
the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
GameCube days. Well, I guess that's GhostWire Tokyo. It really is one of those. It happens a lot. Just one of those wait and see games. But that concern of just it being, well, because we saw with Cyberpunk with that really flashy, awesome like movement and shooting and stuff in the trailers. We saw when the game released that it felt like shit to play. So it could be a similar situation like that. But I mean, the studio's only done 2 games before this, both Evil Within, and they're very different kind of games. So, you know, you don't know until you know.
Locke agrees.
Locke agrees. Hey, you know what Locke does? You know, Locke was just in his chair thing with some bungees on it to help him bounce around. Wait a minute. Bungie got bought by Sony.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
3.6 billion.
Yeah, this was, I mean, everyone's like, see, they finally responded to Activision. Not like this thing was in the works for a year and a half before this happened. They've been working on this for a while, but like 3.6 billion is about the max of what Sony can realistically do. Hi, it's good to see you. That's about the max. So it's a good acquisition. I think 3.6 billion is probably very aggressive for this, and most people on Wall Street agreed, which is why Sony's stock has taken a little bit of a dip even after this acquisition. I mean, it's normal for stocks to dip after acquisitions, but it dips a lot after like a company overpays for a stock or for a company, and that's what most traders think they did here. So I don't think they got a good deal on this. I think they just oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, he's got the black lung, Pop. So it's a fine acquisition. I think it's a good studio to add to their lineup, but they've also insisted that they want to continue doing cross-platform stuff, which is probably just for regulatory reasons. They don't want to have anybody intercede and shut down the sale. But also, I mean, I would kind of believe it from Sony because they don't have the FU money that Microsoft does, where Microsoft can just buy a company and then be like, yeah, no, we know they were bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars from these other platforms, but we're just going to take that away. You know, Sony doesn't have that kind of FU money, not yet, at least. So it's a good acquisition, but it's kind of not much to say about it. It's just there.
Well, I mean, Destiny 2 has been supported for such a long time. It's been doing pretty damn well. So while it's not like, I know there's probably some Sony diehards that were like, why didn't they just buy Ubisoft?
Or why didn't they buy Nintendo?
Why didn't they do that? What the hell? Why didn't they? This isn't even close. It's different. They're different companies with a very different amount of money to spend on this sort of thing. And I think that in terms of like in the grand scheme of things, this I think was probably the best purchase they could have made with what's out there right now. A company that's very good, has an online service game that's constantly updating. Now you can give them the security to possibly work on something else while also still updating this game constantly. It's a really smart move. I like this a lot for Sony.
Yeah. The other news that broke, and I'll try to see if Lachlan lets me talk about this without interrupting. It's not likely. So this was just posted, share screen. This was just posted to the Wall Street Journal. I read the Wall Street Journal incessantly, so when I saw a gaming related, even if tangential, story pop up, I was like, "Ooh, yes, we can talk about this." So basically, there are rumors going around that there is going to be another short squeeze, what they're affectionately calling on Reddit the MOASS, or the MOAS, which stands for the mother of all short squeezes, which this is basically what happened back in March of last year. I think it was last year. Yeah. Where there were all of these shorts, and then Reddit people came together, rallied around, and then there was a short squeeze that drove the stock price up by a crazy amount. Now, what like people say this all the time, I don't think many people know details of how this actually mechanistically works. So we're going to do a very quick crash course on this that'll take a minute and a half. Because for the most part, people just have thought, okay, well, people on Reddit are driving the price of GameStop up, so I'll buy GameStop and I'll make money. That's not actually how this works. Basically, how this works is that what these Redditors are doing is they're looking at financial reporting systems, and they are finding how many short positions are out, like through call options and put options. And then they are going and trying to rally to drive up the stock price by buying up shares and investing their life savings in it on the days leading up to the expiration date for those options. So what that means is that if I change tabs, for a short call, which these hedge funds have thousands of, tens of thousands of these things, they sell an option, which effectively over the course of time, this is the price on the expiration date. So say it's usually on Fridays. So let's say this coming Friday is when the expiration date is. Wherever the stock price is on this graph, on the x-axis, will define the profit for the seller of the call or the buyer of the call. So in this case, what these hedge funds are doing is they're shorting the GameStop stock, saying it's going to drop in value. And they're putting, these options out there. And so if the stock drops in price, then they'll get this amount of profit. And it's only when the stock shoots up above the break-even point over here that they lose money. And the other people on the other side of the exchange, whether it be the buyer or the seller of the option, will get to pocket all that money. And the holder of this option will lose all that money. Now, the reason why people think this is happening again is because there's a conspiracy theory going around Reddit that there are what we call naked shorts going on, which is not strictly legal. Basically, it would be like selling, like if I sell a call option to you, because when you buy a call option, it gives you the right to buy a stock at a set price on a set day. If I sell it, any major trading platform like Robinhood or TD Ameritrade or Fidelity, they require you to own 100 shares of that stock in order to sell that option. So you have to have the asset before you can sell it to somebody, right? What these hedge funds do, though, and have done in the past, especially in the early 2000s, they did it a lot. They will sell you the option to buy the stock, even if they don't have the stock. So they're selling this thing basically on credit. It would be like going to the casino and gambling with a credit card. If you know what you're doing, you can make a ton of money because you didn't have to put any of yours up front. But if you get screwed and you lose everything. You lose the whole house. And that's kind of what happened. Yeah, that's what happened last year, is these hedge funds invested in all of these options, took a lot of them out on debt. And then when the stock price got driven up because everybody on Reddit was going and buying GameStop shares, they had to go out and buy the shares to fill these options. But the stock price had shot up. So then all of a sudden there's this huge demand for shares from both the little guys on Reddit and from the hedge funds that are trying to fill their positions. And so the stock price just shoots up even more. So you got a stock like GameStop, which is honestly worth like $5 to $10. And it's worth hundreds of dollars now because that short squeeze occurred. Now, Wall Street's response to this has been to basically do what they always do, analyze the stock, see what it's worth, and then short it and try to make money on the way down. It's what any investor who knows what they're doing should be doing. But Reddit is convinced that there's a conspiracy where they're doing this again, but it's not being reported. So you have a ton of people on Reddit who are going and buying up shares of GameStop now as it's dropping. I mean, as I showed on this slide, this is the price of GameStop. It hasn't been doing well. At the start, right here, we were trading, that's January or June 9th, rather. June 8th is when it was at 323. And today it's trading down. I mean, I guess yesterday, because today's Saturday. But yesterday it was closed at 102.34. So it's dropped to a third of what it was. And these people are thinking it's going to magically shoot back up again, which in theory it could. Like, surely there are a lot of short positions out for GameStop, because it's dropping in price, and that's where most people expect it to continue going. But when you are betting your life savings on a conspiracy theory, I'm worried for you, and I'm worried that you might lose all of your money, because guess what? The hedge funds, they learned from last March, and they are selling short positions, but they're rolling them within 2 weeks of each other, so they don't have to report them to the SEC like they did before. So they're doing short period short squeezes, or short options, which is almost impossible to squeeze in the same way as last time. All told, I do not think there will be a magical short squeeze again where people are going to be making 15 times their money. But then again, that's what people were saying, back in March. People were like, there's no way that this short squeeze works. And then it worked. So who knows? But it's crazy. What do you guys think of all that? Oh, wait, I got you. I can't hear you. Try talking again. I can hear Cammy. I can't hear Jacob.
Yeah, neither can I. Maybe that's just because he's speechless.
How about now?
There we go.
Yay!
Yay! Am I coming through too loudly, or am I sounding okay? I'm having a little bit of a microphone issue.
You sound fine.
Oh well, good. Well, I don't care about this. They've been doing it for a while. If they want to risk it, I say risk it. If it's a stupid risk, it's America. Just don't do anything illegal, you stupid fools. That's what I say to that.
All of that went over my head. My brain is not a business brain. It doesn't understand anything like that. So, do what Luke said.
There you go.
There we go. We're professional.
Yeah, we're not business people. What are we? Some kind of suicide squad? Wait a minute. Remember that line from the hit film Suicide Squad with Will Smith and
Yeah,
the other people?
the other people.
Hey, speaking of Suicide Squad, thank God. I'm going to say it now. Thank God. It has been delayed to 2023. We were, I think, all a bit skeptical about this game because they haven't told us a whole lot about it. And releasing it in 2022 without like a really sound gameplay showcase, like you'd need a gameplay showcase by E3, of course. So there was still a bit of time, but it's probably for the best, especially given Rocksteady's history with 2015's Batman Arkham Knight release. A lot of people consider that PC port to be one of, if not the worst, like examples of like a AAA game gone bad in that year. Like equivalent, I've seen people compare it to Cyberpunk when it comes to that PC port. Probably not as publicized as that, but again, what's most recent probably seems the biggest, just like how No Man's Sky seemed the biggest when that was going on, all that sort of stuff. So I'm happy to see this delay. Hopefully they can get it sorted out. Hopefully we can see even more about the game in coming months. I'm not very upset about this because, of course, 2022, big year for games, and we're also getting hopefully some form of DC game with Gotham Knights. Unless that gets delayed too, which even then I wouldn't be terribly upset about because I don't want to play broken, glitchy garbage anymore. I'm tired of it. It's silly.
You tell him, Jacob.
Yeah. It's silly. Everyone says, "Oh, as games expand, as they get bigger, it means that this is going to happen more and more, and it's inevitable." But hey, man, companies have figured it out, and it's really about controlling your scope and using your time wisely. And hopefully, with these big acquisitions, studios can take even more time to polish their games. Like if Starfield comes out and that's a glitchy mess, then we'll know for sure that this is not a
Which,
great solution to the
like,
problem.
surely it will be. I mean, everyone's like, well, now that they're owned by Xbox, they have the money to do whatever they want. It's like, no, Bethesda, like, past behavior is the best indicator of future behavior. If you want to find out, like, if this guy murdered somebody, look at his past behavior. Usually, if they're guilty, there's signs of, like, violent behavior in the past, things like that. Yes, I just compared Bethesda to a murderer. With that being said, like, Bethesda has always, back to the beginning of time itself, released buggy, sort of broken games that had to be fixed by the modders. That was the story that was as old as time. That's always been the case. But for some reason now, people are like, well, this time they'll get it. I'm like, just 3.5 years ago, with Fallout 76, their last game, and I know it was Bethesda Game Studios Austin, so it wasn't the same team, but everybody is reporting, even Jason Schreier has reported that the core team in Maryland had a lot more to do with Fallout 76 than was initially suspected. They just release broken, kind of crappily put together games. I know it's upsetting, but it's true. So I would expect that they do it again, because past behavior is the best indication of future behavior.
Hey, man, all I'm saying is I'd like to believe that people can learn from their mistakes. And of course, video games, it can be difficult because they are massive projects, especially these big open world games. I remember it's stuck in my head ever since I read it in Jason Schreier's book, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, talking about the development of Dragon Age Inquisition, how many bugs they had to deal with. Like, I think it was, I don't remember the exact number, but it was like hundreds of thousands of things popping up constantly. Game breaking stuff where like you fought like some spider enemy and it would wipe your save data or something like that. Like it can get crazy and it's very hard to get them working well. But it just, at this point in time, like we need passable almost. And we need something that like doesn't take you out and doesn't break that immersion, because for people's first experiences with these games, like if you want it to build into something that people are talking about for years and years on end, you either, polish the shit out of it and get something like Mario Odyssey or Red Dead Redemption 2, which to my knowledge, like the bugs in Red Dead Redemption 2, like not nowhere even close to what we saw in other big open world AAA games, plus just the attention to detail and that stuff. So while the money can help, while the stability can help, it really is, I think at least, about the time that you have to sort all those things out, because it's whack-a-mole. It's just things popping up constantly and you having to smash them all out for just as long as you can up until that release window. And then hopefully getting it out so it's at the right point. You just can't bite off more than you can chew. Like you could have $10 million, 100,000 people doing it, but it's still just a game of whack-a-mole of getting all that stuff sorted out. So I'm happy to see the delay. Here's hoping they can correct their mistake. Of course, this time around, it's been 8 years since their last release. So they probably had a good deal more time to deal with these new gameplay systems, to really figure them out. I'm hopeful, and this only makes me more hopeful. But again, we have to actually see what the gameplay is for Suicide Squad. We have to see like actual in-game. We need an E3 showcase of them fighting some bad guys, of a boss fight or something. And that's all I'll say on the matter.
What a good speech.
Yeah, I love video games. We all love video games. They're great.
We do.
And hey, speaking of
They're
video
great.
games, speaking of another open world video game from those Red Dead Redemption 2 guys, something got confirmed. What got confirmed, Cammy?
GTA 6.
Uh,
It's real. It's a real thing.
They're
It's
doing it.
confirmed.
One of the best-selling games of all time. They're making a sequel.
Ah, what a shocker.
Who thought of that?
Who would have thunked?
Anyway,
That's all we know. It's just
that's about it. I will say, on top of that, Tom Henderson, Battlefield leaker, overall leaker, just becoming he's really jumped up in the past few years, Tom Henderson, to be like big time investigative journalist type dude. Mad props to him. He put out a thing saying on Twitter he still thinks that while GTA 6 is in development, and while we do know that it's underway, he still thinks something is happening within the Bully franchise, despite this announcement, which to me seems interesting because, of course, in December we had that little bit of news, little bit of ebbs and flows about Bully. So could be a remaster, could be something else, like a new game. You know, Rockstar has, what's it, like 10 studios or something ridiculous like that. It's possible they could be working on something else within there. So they didn't say expressly GTA 6 was their sole focus, I think is the key in all this. So we'll see on that front. But GTA 6 is in development. It's good to hear.
Woo.
Yeah. Aren't you excited for GTA 6?
Yeah. I just feel numb to it by now. Like,
Yeah,
we've
'cause
been
probably
talking
got
about it for so long.
Yeah.
And the fact it's only just been confirmed, I'm like, it feels like a fever dream. Feels like
Yeah,
we've been talking about this for years.
It's
'Cause we
similar to
have.
when Elder Scrolls 6 got unveiled, they did the little big drum trailer of just like panning over this map. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. So they're doing it. And that was definitely, of course, a something to quell the waters, to calm things after Fallout 76. And this is probably maybe a similar situation after that abysmal remastered trilogy. Maybe they were like, okay, we better let them know something's actually happening, because maybe they have a remaster of Bully coming out too by some of those same guys, and it's also going to look like shit and play like shit. Who knows? Like that's a possibility too. As much as I love Bully, most likely it's a remaster or a remake of some kind. It could be horribly shitty, and they're just trying to get people on their good side by saying GTA 6 is coming. It's
Very
possible.
pessimistic, but true.
Hey, man. Their most recent release was garbage.
Do you want to
So,
talk about more garbage?
well, this
Like,
is somewhat positive garbage, I
well,
guess.
it's garbage turned less garbage.
Yeah. It's Austin Powers 3. No, that's not fair to
No.
Austin Powers. I like Austin Powers. Well, it's about that Troy Baker fella. Cayman, why don't you take this
That
one, because I
guy.
don't really care about Troy Baker that much.
Troy Baker, you may have heard of him. He's done some little indie games like The Last of Us, and
Yeah.
Just small time guy. He announced he was making an NFT, and people weren't happy about it because we all hate NFTs. And he was very in the announcement. He was like, "You can either hate or you can create," and everyone hated it. He's now officially backed out. He said he's not doing it. He's backed out of the partnership, and he apologized specifically for that hate create line. So that happened.
It was funny, especially. I'm sorry, did I wake you up? It's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. It was funny, especially because, like, he was partnered with an NFT company whose sole purpose was to make his profession useless and to destroy it. Because the whole point of this NFT company, Voice verse NFT, was that my understanding is they would like record a ton of stuff, and you could pay to use your favorite voice actor's voice in your game, short film, TV show, anime, whatever, because their voice would be treated as an NFT. So they could record it and tie it together. So, like, the whole point of it would be like, an actor endorsing and supporting a company that specializes in hyper realistic 3D animation that makes it so you don't need the actor on set ever and the actor doesn't even need to be hired. Like, you buy the actor's likeness for a set fee, and then the company animates them into your movie. Like, that's the kind of thing he was endorsing here.
Well, hey, that sort of thing actually happened at one point with a certain Tom Hanks. I don't remember the exact specifics with it, but I remember it was Image Movers Studio, the guys that did the motion capture movies, like the Polar Express was probably the biggest one, where Tom Hanks played like a bunch of different people in that movie. There's a lot of fear at that time in the animation realm that this would be like the replacement. They would just have Tom Hanks play like 15 people in a movie. It's like, why cast these nobodies when you can have 15 Tom Hanks and he can play all these different people, so might as well have him. So something similar worries have happened before. Of course, the technology at the time wasn't quite there because everyone in the Polar Express kind of looks like porcelain dolls. And obviously it didn't catch on because you don't get those mocap movies that often anymore. Mars Needs Moms, I believe, was one of them. Do you guys remember Mars Needs Moms?
Vaguely.
Yeah, that was who's that? Seth Green? I think it was Seth Green doing motion capture as a child. Like, and then they had to dub over his voice. Crazy stuff. Stuff like this has happened before. It's of course a studio's dream, because imagine getting to own like a famous person and use them in everything and then advertise for it. Built in, like, you have a built-in audience right there. Have a Tom Cruise copy, a Tom Cruise NFT that you can put into 1,000 Mission Impossible movies. Like that was kind of the idea back then. And of course that fell apart. This is now falling apart. There's going to come a day, I guarantee it, when the technology is there, when they're doing Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One. They're doing that and it looks exactly like how he did in the 70s. And then everyone's like, oh, okay, cool. And then we start moving towards that. But I don't think we're quite there yet because people don't like it.
Yeah. No, I think every generation, especially with new tech, there's panic over it and people being like, why are news sites supporting social media? Social media is going to make it so news sites don't need to exist. And why are movie companies, why are they supporting streaming services? Because they're going to put them out of business. As with all things, businesses evolve, technology evolves, and intentions shift. Do I really think that like a company like Voiceverse NFT could make make a talented actor useless? No. Like, I think those actors exist for a reason, and they have talent and art that you can't necessarily program in the same way. At least you won't be able to for the foreseeable future. I'm sure eventually we'll get AI to that point, but as of right now, you can't. So, and that kind of brings all this back to the broader point, which is that the only reason Troy Baker and every other major celebrity, not to say that Troy Baker is a major celebrity, but who was it? Was it Leonardo DiCaprio? Was it? I think he did an NFT thing. No, it was Matt Damon. Matt Damon did an NFT thing, and
oh yeah,
he lost a bunch of people money because it turned out to be a total scam. Shocker. Not to say that NFTs are inherently a scam, but the companies that are peddling this stuff, more often than not, tend to be scams. There is a difference. But all these people are just endorsing these companies and hyping them up because they're getting big paychecks. And like there's the one, what is it? OpenSea, which is a big NFT company. They just got valued at $13 billion. And
that's the same one that's having trouble with stolen art, because it's not all stolen art, but you could see it a lot. Someone was minting YouTube channels. Someone was minting just art they found on random Twitter accounts. They were stealing that, and their PR stuff wasn't able to get it all taken down because they didn't really care. It's a messy place in some areas.
Yeah. It's I don't think NFTs are going anywhere anytime soon. I think they are just going to shift and rebrand. because anybody who's anybody knows that NFTs have a ton of baggage, and you don't want to come out as a company, especially in the tech sector, and say we're doing NFTs. So companies are going to start getting very stealthy with it. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. They're going to start getting sneaky.
No. You don't want to say no when there's money on the table. That's what Nintendo did. They were like, we're evaluating it or whatever. It's like, we're not sure if they'll be a big part of our future. But it's like, you don't want to say no to your shareholders, because then you're saying no to this thing that could bring you a lot of money. And you don't want that.
Well, so like GameStop announced, not many people know this because it kind of got buried. But GameStop announced, I think it was a $200 or $300 million deal to try and implement NFTs in their services. And so it's not clear what exactly it'll look like, but it'll probably be something where, like, you buy a copy of a used game at GameStop, and then through their partnership, I think it was with OpenSea. No, it was with an Australian company. I don't remember the name of it, but it's with an Australian NFT company. They are going to sell like unique skins and stuff in Ubisoft games through that Ubisoft Quartz program. And the whole purpose of this, and I think I'm going to do a dedicated video on all of this, just to get my thoughts out there. Like I said, NFTs are not inherently bad. It's just a non-fungible token. The reason gamers are upset is because there is literally no added value for the gamers. You can already sell CSGO skins. You don't need NFTs to do it. You can already get unique items in games, skins or weapons or whatever. You don't need NFTs for that. The only reason oh, I'm sorry, dude. The only reason these are being implemented is because the companies instituting them think that they can profit on the initial sale, and they can take a brokerage cut every time that product changes hands, which is a great way of guaranteeing revenue in the future. So Ubisoft sells you one skin, they get the money from that. And then when you want to sell that to your friend or to like somebody else because it's super rare, like right now, if you could sell Rose skins in Warzone, people would do it. It'd probably be hundreds of dollars. So then Activision would get a cut of that sale as you sell it to that person through Warzone. There is no added value to the gamer that couldn't be found with other systems that already exist. This is purely being implemented for the express purpose and reason of trying to find a new way to monetize this stuff. And gamers are just like, can we just like get back to solid games? Like Battlefield 2042 was an absolute train wreck. Warzone's falling apart every day. Like, can we just get a solid game without worry of crappy monetization all over the place? And, I hope gamers keep speaking out against it, because we have seen repeated examples of companies coming out announcing very proudly that they're doing NFTs, and then within like 6 hours, they cancel all plans to do it because the hate they receive is so much. Gamers are good at making their voices heard in good situations and bad. And in this case, I think it's worth letting our voices be heard.
Yeah. I think that's that's all there is to it. So thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah.
So that was perfectly summed up.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts?
We have, has it gone up yet? Are we will the thing that we recorded on Wednesday go up before this?
Probably we'll put it up right after.
Okay. Stay tuned then, everybody.
Yes.
If you made it this far in the video, now you know what's coming. We have a very special idea from Cammy that got turned into a video. A little quiz show where Luke and I are pitted against each other. So stay tuned for that. I won't say any more on it. You got to check out the video when it comes up. But I think it turned out awesome. I honestly loved editing that video. It was great.
It was a good time. It was a good time. And the winner of that confrontation between Jacob and I, the winner will be facing off against Cammy in the next episode of that quiz show, where we answer trivia on our favorite franchises to see who is the truest gamer of them all. So
That's right.
make sure to subscribe, ring the bell to get notified of that. We will have that up. Other than that, lastly, let's go through what are we playing. Right now, I'll start. I've been playing Dying Light 2. I put like 10, 11 hours into it yesterday. I woke up really early, started grinding. It's good. I don't think it's great, but I will say I have not had hardly any technical issues. Like,
oh, wow.
Almost no bugs. I've been recording all of them that I see. And those of you who have watched like my Ratchet and Clank video or Cyberpunk video, I don't have great luck with glitches. Usually I'll find them all. But I've had very little issue. Now, to be fair, apparently the PC port is pretty good. It's like the PS5 port and stuff where you have a lot of issues, but I've not had many issues with it. It's just my only frustration is that right now it feels kind of like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where it's just like there's so much bloat that doesn't really need to be there. But other than that, I'm having a good time. What are you playing, Cammy?
Well, yesterday I finished The Last of Us on Survivor difficulty.
Hey!
Thank you. So now I'm gonna play it on New Game Plus on Survivor difficulty. Because why play a new game when you can play the same game 7 times in a row? You know, why not? Why not? What about you? What about you, Jacob?
Well, I beat Sekiro finally. That was great. I got the good ending. Didn't really use any guides. Maybe like 1 or 2 times if I didn't know what like an item was, if I was really curious about it. So I'm immensely proud of that. I've now beaten Dark Souls 3 and Sekiro without guides. It took an embarrassing amount of time to do that without guides. So happy for that. Now I'm in the open realm. I'm not exactly sure what I want to try next, but luckily I was looking around. I was thinking about doing Final Fantasy VII Remake. Then I realized I got a free game through the Epic Game Store. I always pick them up when they pop up just in case. And it's a free game that I remember getting in an argument at a GameStop about because I was playing Sekiro at the time, and I was taking my cousin there to get a copy of Sekiro for his Xbox One. We went in, and I was like, 1 copy of Sekiro, please. Do you guys have it? Because I didn't see it on the shelves. And the guy gave me shit. He was like, what? You don't want Sekiro. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I want Sekiro. I'm getting it for my cousin. Shout out to Winnie. And the guy was like, what you want is Neo. Okay? Sekiro is all trial and error. Neo's an actual game. And I was like, man, I'm here for the game. I'm here for a game for my cousin. Like, can we do you have? He's like, well, you don't want that one. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll try it one day. But do you have Sekiro? He's like, no. And then I left. So I never went back to that GameStop. Fuck that guy. But Neo, I got it for free. I got the complete edition. I think I'll give that a try to see if it is in fact better. Maybe I'll go apologize if it is leaps and strides better.
It is.
But
Go ahead.
Oh, little tip if you're a salesperson. If someone comes in wanting something to buy, don't tell them they're stupid for wanting to buy it. What you want to do is, if you don't have it, say, oh, we don't have that right now, but what we have is a substitute. That would have maybe gotten me to get Neo for my cousin. What didn't get me to get anything for my cousin was this asshole telling me I was stupid for liking something and then trying to force me to get something that I didn't know a whole lot about. Like, shitty salesman, GameStop, all right? That was terrible. Guy sucks. That's all I'll say on that.
Guy at GameStop.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. I will say, Neo is very good. It is much more Dark Souls than it is Sekiro, which is why it's funny that he was saying that's the game you actually want, because they're very different. Like, they both have Japanese inspirations, obviously, but like there are 50 different weapons in Neo. There are tons of character builds that you can do. It's very much Dark Souls, not at all Sekiro. Sekiro is more of a rhythm game than anything else. So like in some ways it's a good introduction to that whole genre compared to something like Dark Souls, which can be really intimidating. But I think you'll really like Neo. I really do. It's pretty fantastic. And there's 2 of them, so you'll have lots to play.
That's true. I'm excited to give it a try. And I should say also, he said he said Sekiro was too hard and that it was unfair. So to hear Neo is more like Dark Souls,
and Neo's gonna be easier. What?
Yeah,
has he played them?
What a moron, GameStop. This was the same guy, by the way. I went in to get a extra Switch port, and it was like $80 or something. So I didn't wind up getting it. I wanted to just like, I was already there. I was like, you know what? I need a controller. Maybe I'll get a controller and I'll hang out with this guy for a bit because he was kind of being nice at first. But this same guy, he oh god, I'm completely losing the story. Hold on. Oh god, it's falling out of my brain. Oh shoot.
Well, I can pick up the story and while you think about it, because I just want people to say, like, if anybody is ever feeling discouraged or like they're trying really hard at something and they just can't figure it out, or they're applying for jobs and they can't get the job they want, they're like, what am I doing wrong? When I was at like senior year of college, I was like, you know what? I've got a bunch of free time. I could use some extra cash. So why don't I try to get like just a part-time job, like 10 hours a week, just to do something and have a little extra spending cash. So I eventually just ended up doing some work at a bank, because banks, little tip for you guys, work at a credit union. They pay stupid well, and it is freakishly easy work. Like you sit around and talk with your friends all day, and they pay you like $25 an hour because you're in a place all they do is money. It's awesome. But before I worked at the bank, I applied to like 5 different Gamestops. At the time, I had over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube for gaming. I didn't even get called for an interview. So don't get discouraged. Sometimes there's just other stuff going on. And sometimes you should be happy you didn't get that job or didn't have that thing work out, because it wasn't actually what was good. I don't want to say meant to be, because that's such a stupid saying. Like, I didn't...
Right at the time.
Yeah. Anyway, Jacob, did you remember your story?
I remember what the story was, because I went to grab the controller. We were just chatting about what games we were playing. I was playing like I think Animal Crossing at the time, and we started talking about playing games early, because I think it was around the same time I got to play Immortals Phoenix Rising early, and we were doing like that Ubisoft stuff, and I think he got like, because it was just a passing comment. I was like, oh yeah, my brother's a YouTuber. And I edit some stuff for him, and we got to play whatever game early, Immortals Phoenix Rising early. And he got like upset at me and started like trying to brag. He was like, yeah, well, sometimes they fly us out and we get to like go to all these big conventions and stuff. And I've played all of it, I've done all of it. And I was like, oh, that's cool, man, because of course we're just talking. Like, I wasn't paying any mind to it. And he's like, yeah, I've done it all, and I'll probably get to do even more after it, other than like the one thing you did. I'll get to do way more. It's one of the perks of being a GameStop manager. And I was like, oh, okay, dude, yeah, that's cool. That's good that you get to do that, because I don't want to get like, I don't want to make fun of this guy. I barely know him, because obviously what I want to do is be like, I want to go to him on and be like, you get to play all of it, and just start naming off games. But he got like upset at me that I mentioned something, and then was trying to constantly one me up for like the rest of the thing. I was buying a $30 controller, a little Nintendo controller. And like the whole time he was like, you played this game? I was like, no. I was like, oh yeah, I played it early. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not even out yet. Not even on our shelves yet. I was like, that's cool, man. He's like, yeah, but have you done this one yet? It just kept going. I was in that GameStop for half an hour. He would, because he's at the thing. You can't, there's no self-checkout at GameStop. So I have to sit there while this Well, this moron is just like going on and on. He's like, I'm trying to give him my money, and he's just like, he's upset that I mentioned something, and so he's just bombarding me with information to make himself feel better.
Yeah.
What an awful human being.
I mean, I don't like, sometimes some of my friends are like, why don't you like try to flex the YouTube thing more often, especially in gaming situations. But like, there's a reason I play, like when I'm playing an online game, I do the streamer mode. So I hide my username, I do the anonymous mode. And it's because like whenever somebody finds out, oh yeah, I'm sorry, dude.
Aww.
Whenever somebody finds out, it just turns toxic. You know, everybody is just like trying to either one up you or get something from you. Like the one time I was playing Apex Arenas and I said they're like, what do you do for a living? And I told them, I didn't lie. And they immediately were like, well, dude, we should do a collab. I have a Twitch stream. And I looked it up and they've got 35 followers and haven't streamed in 6 months. And I'm like, okay, well, like, this isn't how this works. I get absolutely nothing out of this interaction. And now I've got to listen to you try to sell yourself to me. Must be what like Hollywood producers feel like when they have all these wannabe actors coming to them trying to convince them that they're really talented, when they're just, it's like, you might be, but you need to prove it before I'll take you seriously. Or like when you tell somebody, like I have somebody I knew in high school, he messages me like once every 6 months trying to see if I will let him be in a video, because he's like, we could collab. I'll be on your channel, you'll be on my channel. Same thing. He's got like 20 subscribers on YouTube, probably all accounts he made himself. And he posts like Apex Legend highlights that he auto captures and auto uploads from his Xbox. And last one was like a year and a half ago. Like, if you don't put any effort in, I'm not going to put any effort into you. And plus, at some point, you do have to be like, do I get anything out of this? Like, do I?
So here's my thing with it, because at the time I was very excited about it. I had just started editing my YouTube channel. Like, I didn't break 1,000 subscribers until like a little bit before I started editing for Luke. Like, I did that. I got to 1,000. I'm still building up now. And I remember like running into some of these guys that would ask to do collabs, because when you're a small YouTuber, it happens pretty often with other small YouTubers. And the key is, it's not that it'll never happen with a bigger YouTuber, because I've seen YouTubers with million subscribers do collabs with guys with 20,000 subscribers. The key is, if you ever want to do a collab, if you want to get on the It's the Lag show, if you want to get on, make stuff consistently and make sure you enjoy making it. That's all there is to it. Fuck subscribers, who cares? The numbers are not important. What's important is that you're making stuff that you're proud of, that's high quality, because when people see that, they'll know. They'll know it's high quality. They'll know some of the best YouTubers I've ever seen have like 10,000 subscribers, because they're just putting everything they have into every single video they're doing. That's all you have to do.
That's kind of how we met, though.
That's exactly how we met.
I messaged Luke on LinkedIn. I was like, "Hi, like no pressure or anything. You don't like hi, but can you? I've been writing video game stuff. Can you read it? Can you tell me what you think of it? Like, no pressure. Take your time. I don't expect anything from you, but here you go." And I think he liked it, because I'm
we were
here.
blown away. Yeah, that's all it takes. Just, if you want it, the key to being successful and getting to grow your stuff is, get this, making stuff.
Crazy.
That's all you have to do. That's literally all there is to it. Fuck microphones. You got a phone. Fuck all that stuff. Just make stuff and keep getting better as you go along.
Write stuff. It doesn't have to be in a big publication. Mine was just like a private blog. I wasn't advertising it. It was just like writing for writing's sake, like writing for the practice of it. And then like when I reached out to Luke, I wasn't like, "Oi, give me a job." It was just, can you give me your opinions? Give me advice. I've watched your channel for a while. I respect the stuff you do. I like really like admire your work, and any advice would be really appreciated. I wasn't after a job. I wasn't after anything more than keep at it. Like that was it. So just do stuff.
Yeah, do the best you can. And I mean, with Cammy stuff, I will say I received probably like 5-ish requests every week from people through Instagram, through email, through Twitter DMs, through whatever else. Requests from people to like look at their stuff. They might be a little YouTuber looking for advice. They might be a streamer looking for advice. They might be a writer looking for advice. And I try to check them all out as best I can. And you know, if I see potential, I'll tell you there's potential. If it's just absolutely horrible, usually I don't respond. Because I won't spend the time to read through it. I can pick up pretty quickly if it's not quality or if you aren't really trying. But like with Cammy's thing, I pulled it up and I started reading it, and it was very well written. It presented itself well. It had thought-provoking stuff in it. And I don't know if I ever told Cammy this, but like I copy and pasted sentences from it and posted it into Google to see if she had like ripped it off from some website. Like I literally thought, this is too good for this girl not to have like a job in the industry already. Like she's very good at what she does. And I sent the link to Jacob as well, and was like, is it just me, or is this like really good? And he's like, yeah, no, it is. Let's meet her. So we did, and that's kind of how it started. So quality over quantity. You don't need to be famous or have money or anything to get started. You just have to make a good first impression, and you have to show that you're consistent and willing to work hard, and that's what people recognize. Because like we would love, like, don't you think I would love to get like 5 messages a week from phenomenal people who I want to collab with, and we do stuff together. Like I would love that. But so often somebody sends that message, it takes me 3 weeks to respond. And by the time I look at it, I realize, oh, they haven't posted in 3 weeks. They made one video and then they burnt out and then they've moved on. And so like Jacob said, consistency, you got to enjoy what you do. You need to be passionate about it. And eventually you'll get noticed. Just have to be willing to put the work in. But moral of the story, that GameStop employee was an asshole. So
He
Yeah,
was
that's the moral of the
not bad.
story.
yeah, that's the moral of the story. That's so funny though, because people do get weirdly competitive sometimes, where it's like, oh yeah, well, I was in the network test for Elden Ring. Cool, bro. I've got
Yeah, that's
access.
cool.
Yeah, like if we want to compare dick sizes, like I think with regards to gaming review codes, I think I'll win. Like if you want to play that game, we can play that game, but it's not a competition. It's like with you, like you just don't engage. Like, yeah, if you want to run in circles trying to flex on me as a GameStop manager, cool. I'm sure you do see some cool stuff. I'm not saying you don't.
I like talking about that stuff too. It's neat to run into people and chat about that stuff, but at the same time, like if I hear you played a game early, I'd love to hear what you thought about the game.
Yeah.
That's all I want to like. That's interesting. I don't want to hear that they sent you a helmet and they sent you like playing cards with the Rainbow Six Siege guys on them, and they did a little. They had this collector's edition box and it got dented. I got it for like $30 because I work here. I didn't even put it on the sales floor. I got it for $30 because it was damaged. I marked it myself. Say you're not supposed to do that, but I did it. Like that's the dumbest shit.
And then you go and get him fired for it.
No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Good God. It's just a guy that needs an outlet to vent that stuff.
Well, and especially
all it
if
is.
like a lot of your identity is tied up in being a GameStop manager who gets access to cool stuff, like you better believe his friends think that's super cool.
Yeah, and good for him.
Because it is kind of cool. Like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
good for you. But Like it's not all
Sell me my
competition.
controller.
Yeah, please take my
Let
money.
me buy the thing. I was horribly addicted to nicotine at the time. There's a vape shop across the way. I wanted to go get my fix. He's withholding it from me. He's actually physically hurting my brain. Maybe it was
assault.
good for me in the long run.
Yeah, you should go thank him.
I should.
Like with a really sobby,
fact-
tear-filled apology. Yeah.
In fact, I'll go thank him right now. We'll see you all later, everybody.
Bye-bye. Lovely seeing
Have
you.
a nice day. Bye-bye.